Tonight, our special coverage as the name of Israel's advocate in the International Court of Justice emerges in Jeffrey Epstein's trafficking documents. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Zahra Sayed. It has been 90 days since Israel started its indiscriminate war on Palestine. Despite global calls for a ceasefire, Israel continues assaults on various areas. In its 3 months of indiscriminate attacks, Israel has displaced 1.9 million people. This makes it almost 90% of Gaza's population. The Israeli defense minister has confirmed the continuation of operations in southern Gaza, including attacks on refugee camps and declared civilian safe zones. Intense bombardments are underway near Deir al-Balah, impacting Nuseirat, Maghazi, and the Burej refugee camps. The bombings and heavy presence of Israeli forces is leading to forced evacuations of Palestinians from their homes. A crucial bridge connecting Gaza City to central Gaza has been bombed and destroyed. This bridge was part of the coastal road that Israel had instructed people to use for evacuations to southern Gaza. The healthcare infrastructure in Gaza has been attacked nearly 600 times since the onset of the war. Hospitals and vital medical sites, including 26 out of 36 hospitals, have been damaged. At least 613 people have been killed within the healthcare facilities. More than 770 medical staff have been injured. The World Health Organization condemns the attacks on medical staff and its facilities. It says the ongoing reduction of humanitarian space and assaults on the healthcare sector are pushing Gaza's people to a breaking point. Al Jazeera media reports a large number of soldiers conducting a raid in the southwest of Jenin in the occupied West Bank. The death toll continues to rise. At the time of writing, the Palestinian death toll stands at 22,600. Another 8,000 Palestinians are presumed dead under the rubble. 57,910 Palestinians are injured. Israel's revised death toll stands at 1,139. Lebanon has filed a complaint with the United Nations Security Council accusing Israel of firing 6 missiles that killed Hamas's senior leader Saleh al-Aruri. Hassan Nasrallah, Secretary General of Hezbollah Group, is warning of Lebanon's exposure to war if Hezbollah doesn't react to the assassination of Saleh al-Aruri. The armed wing of the Islamic Jihad group claims to have targeted Israeli towns with the missile. The rocket shell has damaged a building in Sderot. The United States is offering up to $10 million for information on 5 Hamas financiers to disrupt the group's financial mechanisms. These individuals are designated as global terrorists by the United States. Israel has unleashed more than 45,000 bombs on Gaza in the past 3 months. The Palestine media office in Gaza says the combined weight of these explosives exceeds 65,000 tons. It says the weight and the power of these bombs is equivalent to 3 nuclear bombs dropped on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. These attacks have deliberately targeted residential areas. Most of the bombs dropped were unguided and imprecise. The media office has documented the use of 9 internationally banned bombs and missiles. These include bunker busters, white phosphorus, smart bombs, and Halberd Gundam missiles. These munitions have resulted in mass casualties, permanent injuries, deformities, disabilities, and environmental risks due to toxic radiation. A survivor is describing the horrors of point-blank shootings of Palestinians taken into captivity by Israeli soldiers. Momin Raed al-Khaldi is sharing his terrifying ordeal. He says Israeli soldiers are shooting Palestinians in front of their families. Raed al-Khalid says his family was seeking refuge in northern Gaza at their relative's house when it fell victim to Israeli soldiers on December 21st. The soldiers stormed the house and shot everyone inside. The Israeli soldiers mistakenly thought they had killed all his family members. However, Momin survived. Shot and bleeding, he pretended to be dead amidst his slain family members for 3 days. Reports of similar incidents have been emerging, Israeli soldiers executing innocent civilians in front of their loved ones. The Israeli military ordered evacuations prior to a ground invasion. Palestinians who did not comply were branded as terrorists and executed. Journalist Ahmed Daoud was at his home when an Israeli tank targeted his neighbor's apartment. Daoud says his family decided to flee, but the soldiers opened fire on residents, killing 2 girls instantaneously. The residents retreated to buildings again for the next 4 to 5 days. However, they could not retrieve bodies of girls, which remain on the streets. Israeli police face challenges in finding sexual assault victims or witnesses linked to alleged sexual assault incidents during the October 7th attacks. The news comes as Israeli government and Western media sources have been alleging for months that Hamas and other Palestinian groups sexually assaulted Israeli victims during the attacks. Last week, the New York Times published allegations of sexual assault and rape on a victim named Gal Abdush. However, Abdush's family contradicts these claims. Israeli newspaper Haaretz reports that police authorities are unable to link existing evidence with victims described in the allegation reports. The investigator in charge of the case, however, has told Haaretz that police have circumstantial indications that there are victims who are still alive. He says the police have yet to make contact with these victims. A lack of forensic evidence and inconsistent accounts reveals errors made by Israeli officials, soldiers, and rescue volunteers. Alan Dershowitz, who is set to defend Israel in the International Court of Justice, has been named in the documents related to the trafficking case of Jeffrey Epstein. Israel faces allegations of genocide in Gaza in the top court. Jeffrey Epstein was an American financier and a sex offender. He was convicted of running a trafficking ring, providing services to the elite group of the society. Epstein received a 20-year prison sentence. He was found dead in his prison cell in 2019. Jeffrey's documents unsealed yesterday shed light on the connection between Dershowitz and Epstein. About 150 people who were previously blacked out are mentioned in these documents. The documents contain disturbing details about Dershowitz, a former Harvard law professor, including allegations of sexual relations with a minor. The documents reveal Dershowitz's connection to Epstein and his visits to Epstein's Florida mansion. They also reveal Dershowitz's concerns about the sexual consent laws. Dershowitz had advocated a 16-year-old has the constitutional right to engage in consensual sex. The documents also show links between Epstein and the Mossad, Israel's national intelligence agency. While former President Clinton's name appears frequently in the documents, there is no evidence of any illegal activity on his part. Canada and its allies are warning Houthi rebels to halt their ongoing attacks on ships in the Red Sea. 13 countries have signed a statement condemning these illegal and destabilizing attacks, including the United States. The statement demands an immediate end to the attacks and the release of detained vessels and crews. Houthi rebels backed by Iran have fired long-range missiles at Israel from Yemen and targeted civilian cargo ships. The group says the attacks are meant to pressure Israel to stop its indiscriminate war against Palestinians. Around 15% of the world's seaborne trade typically passes through the Red Sea. Following the attacks, shipping companies have rerouted. This has led to weeks of delays in shipping essential goods. A Canadian judge has denied the federal government's attempt to reclaim over $220,000 in legal costs incurred during a significant court case involving a Muslim charity. Ontario Superior Court Justice Marcus Conan issued his ruling last month. He says the Muslim Association of Canada's legal challenge served a valid public interest despite being unsuccessful. The grassroots Muslim charity argues that its long-running audit by Canada Revenue Agency is biased and driven by Islamophobia. The charity argued that the audit violated the Canadian Charter of Rights and should be halted. The organization said the government unfairly targeted minority groups as potential sources of terrorist financing, especially Muslim organizations. Last month, Justice Conan dismissed the charity's application to stop the audit. However, he disagreed with the government's request for reimbursement. He said in this case, both parties should bear their own costs. He further acknowledged the merit in the charity's position. He suggested that had the case not been dismissed as premature, it might have succeeded. A French court has handed Algerian footballer Youssef Attal an 8-month prison sentence and a fine equivalent to 65,724 Canadian dollars. The verdict of a criminal court in Nice says Attal is guilty for sharing a potentially provocative video on social media. The video is related to Israel's bombardment of Gaza. The 27-year-old footballer was with the Algerian national team in his home country when he shared the video. After being warned by his club officials, Attal deleted the video and issued an apology. He said he'd never intended to promote hate or violence. However, the prosecutor argues that by sharing the video, Atal endorses its message. Atal has received a 7-match ban from French football authorities. His football club has suspended him until further notice. Thank you for watching. Our news is produced by Muslim Network TV, which is a not-for-profit organization. We need your support for donations. Please scan the QR code on our broadcast or visit muslimnetwork.tv to donate now, so we can continue to amplify the voices of Muslims in Canada and abroad. Assalamu alaikum.